Welcome to our journey through the book of Psalms. And today we are looking at Psalms 39, the 39th Psalm, a beautiful, moving psalm. I'm just going to start reading from verse 4. It reads as follows, and I'm reading from the New King James Version. Lord, make me know my end, and what is the measure of my days, that I may know how frail I am. Indeed, you have made my days as handbreadths, and my age is as nothing before you. Certainly every man at his best state is but vapor. Surely every man walks about like a shadow. Surely they busy themselves in vain. He heaps up riches and does not know who will gather them. This is a beautiful, honest rendition. It is just a reflection of the brevity of life. It's something that we don't always acknowledge and realize until you see somebody in a coffin. I can remember as I was growing up as a young person, one of the gifts about being young is that you think you will live forever. You think life will always be like this. You don't even think that you'll ever come to a point where you will die. And that's the myth about being young. It is this thing that I will be living forever. I can remember that particular day when I had the opportunity to look at the face of a friend of mine who lied and was dead in a coffin. That image remained in my mind for many, many years when I saw that young person, quiet, at the same age as I was then. And I asked myself this one question: what have I done not to be dead? Or what difference am I going to make that I'm alive? One of the moments that bring transformation in our minds, or if you please, conversion, is when we realize the brevity of life. When we realize that life is not forever. And immediately when you realize that, you are faced with two options. One, you can actually end it now and say, this life is hopeless, what's the point? Or you can say, let me make the best out of this. The good thing about human beings is that we are aware of our demise. Unlike the sheep and the goats and the cattle, they just eat. They are not even aware that they're going to die. And is it not the preacher in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 7, he says, it would be good for us to spend our times in the house where there is mourning. Because when you do that, you are reminded that you are frail, you are just but a vapor. You will also die. But the idea is not to actually heap this sense of guilt and to be so traumatized by the fact that we're going to die to a point where we become immobilized. You can't even think. No, he says, teach me to know that life is short. But as you do that, let me understand how I can live. Because that's what comes up when you read Psalms 90, verse 10 to 12. That psalm, by the way, comes from Moses. Very interestingly, Moses says, our years is 70 to 80 years. He puts it there, it is 70, 80 years. And for us, 40, 50 years, you can say 60. You're lucky if you get to 60, 70, 80 years. Then he prays, give us a heart of wisdom so that we can apply our minds to wisdom. Let us be wise in spending this short life. You know, when you know that life is short, you tend to be very careful how you spend it. Now, some of us who not always have a lot of money in the bank, you know what happens at the beginning of the month when you have the big bank balance. You go there and you even just go there just to see the balance, and you say, you smile and you see the big number there, and you walk tall, get into Pick and Pay, and you buy what you don't even need because there's money. But the moment you see there that you have 50 Rand or 100 Rand, you begin to think, why should I buy this? I don't need that. Because of the shortness, because of the amount of money that is left, it creates an environment for and an appetite for wisdom. That's what happens also when you begin to understand that your life is short. I mean, you know of stories of people who went to see the doctor, and the doctor said, you have only so many years to live. And most of those people, at least some of them, have lived lives that have blessed us because they know that I've got a short life. I've got a friend of mine who's HIV positive. He says, I don't know whether I'll be there for my son and my wife. So every day counts. I've got to do the best I can. I've got to teach my child as much as I can because I don't know how much time I have. That person is living the best life. Some of us who think we've got so many years to live, what happens? We waste that time. We waste that life. If only we can know, if only we can realize that life is short. And at times, the grave, the funeral, the passing of a friend reminds us of the brevity of life. And yet, few months later, we forget, and then we think we'll live forever. Life is short, but we can make a short life to be long by investing in that life, in the lives of those around us, so that even when we are dead, when we are no more, our names will remain in the lips of many. He passed by. He blessed me. In that way, even though you are dead, your life continues to be a blessing. And that's my challenge to you today. What are you doing with your life? Do you want to be known as a person who used to drive a beautiful car? Do you want to be known as a person who used to wear beautiful and expensive shoes? Or you want to be known as a person who has a blessing in this life, a person who made a difference? And you can, if you realize and acknowledge that life is short. Life is just like a vapor, like a shadow, but you can make a difference. And may God bless you as you do so. That's my prayer.